Unions blitzing the airwaves and storming D.C. in a major push for immigration reform.
Every day that we wait is a day wasted and a day that we've lost, a day that the economy won't grow.
Growing the economy or a ploy to grow union membership? We debate it. You decide. We need immigration reform now to help the economy, unions launching an ad blitz calling for it, and labor bosses at the White House demanding it.
It will be good for not only newcomers or immigrants, but it will be good for every worker here. It'll be good for business, it'll be good for the economy, and that's why all of us have come together to try to push and get this thing done this year, because every day that we wait is a day wasted and a day that we've lost, a day that the economy won't grow.
But John, you say the economy has nothing to do with this.
That clip was an absolute crock. That was one of the most disingenuous things I have ever heard in my life. Unions are dying, and that's the reason for this. They were at 40% of the public workforce about 30 years ago. They're now at 6.6. There's 7.3 million people, according to BLS, in 2012, end of 2012, in unions. You're talking about adding 10 to 12 million people who come from countries where unions are prevalent, who are potential union members. This is 100% political. There's no other way to spin this. This is a matter of survival for these unions.
Susan, you agree with that? Is that about growing the economy or growing the union base?
It is absolutely about growing the economy. If you look at who else was there at that press conference and at that White House event, it was the head of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, Tom Donahue. If you look at who's been supporting immigration reform, it's all the high-tech companies. Businesses are crying out for this reform. They want it because they know it's going to help them. It's going to help the economy.
There's a difference. There is a big difference in immigration reform for the right reasons and what the unions are doing. Immigration reform, I think, should be done. A lot of political leaders say it, but to associate them with unions is I think, wrong.
How can you say that you're an organization whose sole purpose is to protect the rights and conditions of workers and not be for immigration reform?
Okay.
Jimmy Hoffa, how about that?
Okay, Toby. We have some video of unions protesting at May Day. They've been doing this for a while. This is a big deal for them.
Well, absolutely. And with all due respect to my dear Susan, the high-tech industry is talking about high-tech job qualified immigration, HB1 visas, where people have high levels of skills, and we need them desperately for our economy. That's not what the union's talking about. The union has a product to sell, and that product is the promise, the illusion that they're going to help working-class people get higher wages and more jobs. And so they now have a whole new group to sell that product to. Unfortunately, as Mr. Layfield alludes to, the product doesn't work. So, yeah, they're looking at a chance to have, new opportunity, new market. But the fact of the matter is, it's not going to work any better for them than the 23 million people who dropped out of unions in the last 30 years.
Jonas, what do you think of that?
The economy also needs unskilled tech workers that are immigrants. If you saw what would happen if they could magically remove all immigrants that were here illegally to food prices, let's say, from farm picking, you would see how important they are to the economy, too. Now, unions are dying, and they need to grow their shrinking base, but most importantly, they need to grow it with people in jobs that are not outsourceable to other states, like mechanics and people that they can move a Boeing plant to another state where there's no unions. And that's why they're also going after fast food workers, because fast food jobs and lower end labor jobs, be it farm pickers, whatever, they can't move the avocado plant to Alaska or some cheaper place. It has to be where it is. So it's a perfect growth area for unions, because these people, they could raise their wages in many cases back to above minimum wage because they're not legal, and also get them in a union. And then the companies, then the bosses can't relocate into a no-union area, be it China or the South. So it has a huge growth potential for union membership, this area.
Gary B.?
Well, I think John basically summed it up when he said the whole speech by Trumka was a crock. How do we know it's a crock? Because just a short while ago, unions were against this immigration law. They didn't want the immigrants coming in and taking the jobs until, as a few people have pointed out, they said, wait a second. We have 11 million undocumented immigrants that would be subject to U.S. labor laws, including the right to unionize, and that's even before they seek permanent citizenship. So Trump is saying, wait a second, this is really actually good for us because it inflates our dying rolls. That's why we know it's a crock.
Okay, Susan.
Look, you know, as I said before, this is an organization who is supposed to be on the side of workers. We have 11 million undocumented workers in this country. Because, you know, historically there have been two sides in the labor movement, and there have been some who haven't been against, as you said, and there have been a lot who have been for. Historically, the CIO for a long time before they merged with the AFL, they've been very strong pro-immigration for a long time. So you got to watch how you're brought.
Okay, I'm sorry, guys. That's got to be the last word.